Okay. Okay, I'd like to call a meeting to order. Roll call. Members present, Lori Horseman is absent. She's out of town. Attest to publication. I actually saw it in the post office. Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Shelley to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Shelley will share our mission, vision, values, and our collective commitment.
Bangor School District Mission, Vision, and Value Statement. Mission, Bangor Pride, a small school building big futures. Vision, an innovative small school creating excellence through personalized learning and relationships for all. Values, student-centered, small class sizes, continuous improvement, professionalism, opportunities for all. Safety, foster community, and sustainability. Board of Education collective commitments. As a member of the Bangor School Board, I will be an active listener who is open-minded, respectful, and inquisitive. Together with one collective voice, we are committed to forward thinking while strategically prioritizing for our students, staff, and community now and into the future.
Thank you, Shelley. Public comment. We have on the list Kelly.
Stand here. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to officially introduce myself to the board and any community members here or watching online. I'm the candidate for the open seat on the Bangor School Board. I'm Kelly Cruckton, and I've lived in Rockland the last 13 years. My husband, Jeremy, and I have one son, Cooper, in 5th grade here at Bangor Elementary. I work full-time at Ultra Federal Credit Union, and you might see me working part-time at Hanson's as well in Bangor and West Salem. I enjoy traveling, music, and attending Bangor sporting events. I've had the privilege to volunteer for the last 5 years for junior achievement in the 4th grade classrooms here, and have so much appreciation for our teachers. I have also volunteered for the PTO, and most recently helped with Bangor's first community clothing drive. I'm excited to be a part of the election this spring and give back to the community if I win. I hope to provide a fresh set of eyes on the board and the topics that we discuss. I know there might be some challenging times ahead with the remodeling and construction in our schools, shortage in bus drivers, and even after-school care. But I know as a board, we will strive to make a collaborative decision that is best for the district. I have a lot to learn, but I'm willing and ready to do so. So thanks for letting me introduce myself, and appreciate your support on April 4th.
Thank you, Kelly. Approval of the minutes from the February 8th regular meeting.
I'll move to approve the meeting minutes, the regular meeting minutes from the 8th. Excuse me, sorry.
I'll second that.
Motion by Joni, seconded by Lisa to approve the February 8th regular meeting minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. February 8th closed session.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion made by Tina, seconded by Shelley. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Student report. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
All right, so last Thursday there was an all-district pep rally for state gymnastics, and the team placed second at state, and Camden Liga performed on the floor. There was parent-teacher conferences on February 15th, and there was a blood drive on Wednesday, March 1st, and the more donors we have is more scholarship money for the seniors. National School Breakfast Week, the news was here this on Tuesday morning. And donkey basketball was last Saturday or Sunday, held by the FFA, and they had a packed gym.
So starting this week, track has begun, and then within the next 2 weeks, baseball and softball will be starting. On Tuesday, the juniors had their ACT, and while that was going on, the sophomores took the pre-ACT. The elementary word of the month is acceptance. On Sunday, the Bangor Lions Club had their pancake breakfast down at the elementary school. There was the Booster Club Fun Night that was held at the log cabin. High school forensics will have their regional match this Saturday, and the high school math competition is next Wednesday. That will just be in the classroom.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Next, special recognition.
Yeah, so as I laid out the calendar and was looking on my calendar this year, I noticed that today was kind of a special date, so I wanted to do a little recognition. So since 1987, the United States has formally recognized March as National Women's History Month. During March, we celebrate that every woman has a story to tell and gifts to share with the world. March 8th, 2023, today in particular, is International Women's Day, when we celebrate the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. The Bangor School District is served by countless women in roles as bus drivers, cooks, secretaries, paraprofessionals, student support staff, and teachers. The day-to-day financial operations of our district flow through our bookkeeper and a district office administrative assistants. These women leaders of our district are essential to the immediate and long-term success of our district. In addition, the Bangor community is incredibly fortunate and statistically unique to have a school board of 7 incredibly strong and independent women. These women have been elected to guide and direct the future of our community through their work as school board members in our public school system. The $24 million capital improvements that this board has and is and will be directing will shape the future of the school district for generations to come. Their collective commitments and desire to do what's best for the Bangor School District community is evident in all that they do. Today on International Women's Day, we want to publicly acknowledge the incredible school board and thank them for their commitment, dedication, and support of the Bangor School District. These women provide yet another great reason for Bangor pride and remind us all that it's always a great day to be a Bangor Cardinal. Thank you all for your service to our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So moving on to the committee reports, the Goals Committee, we had a meeting scheduled for February 22nd, but we canceled it due to the weather. We have another meeting rescheduled for March 15th in the district office boardroom at 6:15. Buildings and grounds.
I think Shelley's going to share a little bit about what's been going on there.
Yeah, we've had a couple of meetings. The first one being on February 9th. We're reviewing the elementary. A lot of work has gone into the planning and the structure in the elementary school. We're getting down pretty well on walls being moved where they're pretty much going to be set in the design. They did a structural investigation on the 16th and 17th. There were no plans to that building, so they kind of had to do some digging and see where the load-bearing walls were and things like that on what walls could be taken out safely and not. So that went relatively well. They were pretty happy with it. Like I said, the design structurally of the building is getting pretty close to set. A lot of input from staff and the admin team, and things are looking good. I know the three of us on the Buildings and Grounds Committee were a little concerned with not being informed with what was going on and wondering Nexus, when they put together their list on what was in the building as far as being planned and what wasn't, and they gave us a list of that. We talked a little bit about kind of the staging area in the outside and the hallway leading to outside, and I guess I was very happy with how that meeting went. Tina, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I agree. Last month, I was not in agreement. This month, I am. I had a lot of questions that lead to more questions and more questions and more questions, but I feel like it's in a really good spot. A lot of the questions were answered immediately. A lot of questions that's going to come later, which I understand. Just that they're there and that we know it's a part of the conversation. So there were long meetings. I came in, did a tour separately. I know David took some time out of his day to do that for me, which I appreciate. And just sometimes, seeing part of it really helps too. I'm a visual person, so like your tours that I know you did, that's really important too, because you get to actually, it's different seeing it on paper. Even when you walk the grounds, it's different.
Then on the 21st, we had another meeting that was setting up schedules a little bit, looking a little bit more at the high school and getting going on the design there. There is a lot of just square footage that's been planned, but really not a lot with that. So that is in the infancy of getting going on the high school and the old high school. We did then the administrative team, I guess, Rick and Mike, Jordan, Brooke, David, and myself went on a tour to see some facilities. It was good to see. We went to UWL, and a lot of the equipment that UWL is running in their athletics is the same company that we would probably go through and that they're interested in. So to see the equipment and the square footage that took up. We also looked at Holman and West Salem, the tech ed program as well, and getting some ideas there. So again, that's in its infancy on getting going and just looking at ideas, and looking forward to seeing how that plan will come along.
So thank you, Building and Grounds Committee, for your time and commitment to ensuring that this project goes well for our students who it's for, and our community and administration. Thank you, too, for all the time that you're committing. I know it's a lot of meetings and travel, so thank you very much. Shelley and Tina and Lori as well. District financials.
There we go.
Any questions?
Yeah, we did have a couple questions directed to Angie and I that I think we got answered. I can follow up on any of those, but otherwise just looking for approval of the financials for March.
If there's no further questions, I will move to approve the financials as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion by Joni, seconded by Shelley, to approve the financial documents as presented, the financial reports. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. District reports, facility projects updates.
Yeah, Shelley just did a great job of kind of talking about a number of the meetings and just kind of where we are in the process. But I'll give you a couple updates. I've tried to give you the financial, the design, and then the contract type stuff the last couple weeks or last couple months. So today, actually March 8th, we actually, the bonds went out. So there was closings on the actual bonds, the long-term bonds for the first two issuances that have taken place. So wires were sent to Merchants Bank and Huntington Bank to close out those two short-term loans that had happened there. And now that is all in the money's in the WISC account, but it's in those long-term bonds. So we have taken the $9,250,000 in 2022, and then the $10 million in 2023. As of today, in our WISC account, there is $19,299,404. I got that actual number today, so we are already earning interest on that. The original estimates for interest on the dollars as they sit in our accounts was about $830,000. More recent projections have that closer to $1.2 million. That market has been favorable. Last month, I talked about the rates were actually very favorable for those long-term investments as well. So we have had good numbers on both sides of that, which is a really, really fortunate place for us to be. Part of setting the levy for this year is we had levied for debt payments this year. Our first payment towards those new payments was actually sent today as well. And then we will make a payment on the existing bonds, those ones that were there. I think I've shared this, but early in this, we had talked about paying off those existing bonds right away. It was more advantageous for us to actually pay just the minimum payment over the next 3 years on those existing bonds and pay ahead so that we're not paying the interest on the longer term of these other loans too. So we still do have that old debt that we could have easily paid off with the money that we spent today, but intentionally we are holding on to that for the next couple of years. Brian will be back to talk more about that in the future, but just so you're aware of that. So we will still make that debt payment beginning of April 1st, that's due. Design updates, I think Shelley hit most of that very, very well. Tomorrow, John and I are meeting with some electrical engineers to talk about all the low voltage and high voltage needs for the elementary school. When you start to make the list of all of the high voltage and low voltage systems within a school, from the fire alarm system to the PA system to the clock system to the phone system to the internet system, it's an extensive list. So making sure that we have all the right data closets to make all of that happen, and how to tie that all together is pretty extensive. So we're working on that dedicated meeting to just that tomorrow. Next Thursday, we will have that 50% meeting for the elementary school. Again, there will be continued work on that design, but as Shelley and the team have seen, we're to the point where we're probably not moving a lot of walls anymore. So that's kind of that 50% mark. That allows the engineers to start to design for some of those items that we're going to need to get purchased sooner than later with the lead times. So that's an important part of this process as well. We had a phasing meeting yesterday that I think the four of us sitting in that room all had our eyes opened a little bit as far as just how much space it's going to take up and how we're going to flow, how we're going to have traffic keep going and function in school while there's construction going on at the elementary school, out in front of this school, behind this school, all of those types of things. So it was good that we could start those conversations and have some dialogue about what that might look like. We did get some news yesterday that if you remember back at our November meeting, we talked about that early footings and foundation package, and that timeline that was given to us then is what we built our school calendar on for next year. That footings and foundations package has been gone for a couple of months, and what I'm finding out is really when that went away, our ability to be in mid-year probably went away as well. So it was a surprise in that meeting. I don't like surprises. Nobody liked that surprise, but we have had some conversations. We will continue to have those conversations by our April meeting, and there's a good chance that we may be moving those 2 work days, either to the 2 days right after Easter or to the 2 days at the end of the school year that would still give teachers time to kind of relocate items and get settled in their new spaces. So that's not an exciting change that I want to make. The school start date doesn't change. It's just basically where we would relocate those 2 work days that are right now on January 2nd and 3rd. So that came out of it. I guess I'd rather have it now than in October next year when we're all gearing up for this. But it's still not something that we wanted to hear. It does not affect the overall timeline. They feel confident that they're still going to be able to meet the overall timeline. The 2 weeks, in 3 weeks, we'll be coming back more to the middle school, high school, and those designs. We will have some floor plans, some drawings to us fairly shortly on like the weight room. At this point in time, we will get that out to multiple weight room vendors and equipment vendors, and they kind of lay out a format or a floor plan for us as far as how that all works as well. So we're getting closer to being able to send that out and then have some conversations about that area. Really the last month has been, I would say, just lots of logistics happening and kind of figuring out timelines and really nailing down some of the details of those spaces, and just more to that to come. We are every 2 weeks now for our design meetings. I did send the email Monday with the most recent drawings. They're close. They're not perfect. And it is my goal and Nexus's goal to make sure that we are giving you guys a brief update at least every Monday on what the status is and what the drawings look like and what's changed in that time. So if you need more, don't ever hesitate to reach out and I can help you with that. On the contract side, I shared with you last time that I had just had the first meeting with Whipfly. The accounting firm, they were able to get me a bunch of feedback. I actually had about 15 pages from Bob on our attorney on feedback on language type things, and then I had a couple pages on a spreadsheet from the accountants on feedback. On the 17th, I believe, was that Friday in February. I was able to get about 5 hours at my desk to bring all of that into one document, about 20-page Word doc that I sent to Nexus with our requested revisions for the contracts. I heard back from Nexus yesterday, so it's been a couple weeks and it's been in their hands, and we are working on setting up a face-to-face meeting to finalize. They feel like we're close, but there's a few things that we're going to have to sit down and talk about. So I'm actually meeting with Bob and our accounting folks on Monday to kind of talk through the strategy of how we'll approach that. But our goal, Nexus is well aware, and they'd like to start getting paid too. So the April 12th board meeting is what we're shooting for. So with that timeline, it has taken way longer than I would have ever anticipated, but I feel very, very good about the reason why we slowed it down and the language that we're getting in place to make sure that we get the best value for our taxpayers' dollars and that we are in a position where we're going to get what we want out of this project. So I feel really good about that. So more to come at our April meeting on that. Any questions for me on the facilities work?
Thank you. So next, district action, agenda action items, 2023-2024 bus purchase.
So we had budgeted this year at our annual meeting when we looked at that budget. We had budgeted for a new bus purchase this year. We have been working with bus companies since then, and there are no buses available. We've basically been told that all year long. I did have a conversation at the state convention that there are buses coming in this summer. The international buses that we use, that the majority of our buses are, and that I basically put my name on one and said, please don't sell that. We need that for next year. And this action tonight is basically we would send a deposit for that bus, but we're still not buying it until next year's budget. We've got some options for how to make sure that we carry that money forward, but we feel that we're going to be able to make that bus purchase happen for next year. So it's $111,000 for the bus, and then there's some other paperwork there. You got title, registration, camera systems, and radio that's always also added on to that. So closer to $115,000 when it's all said and done for a new bus for next year. If there's no questions, I'd hope for approval that we could commit to that bus for next year.
That locks in the price now.
See what?
That'll lock in the price for it now.
Yeah.
And then whenever it's available, then you get it, or you figure it out. At
Yeah,
that time.
they're very confident it will be here before September 1st, that we'll have it in possession September 1st, but it won't be before, July 1st, so it will have to be on next year's budget. So, yes, this is locking it in.
And if by some miracle it came early in June, you could get it.
We would try. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question. It would be very advantageous for us if it could come in June and use this year's budget for it instead of next year's budget. It just puts us in a better position, but there's multiple ways that we can make that work if it doesn't.
If there are no questions, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tina, seconded by Joni to approve the 2023-2024 bus purchase. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Calendar change.
If the next person that asks me what the weather on Friday, I don't know if I might, if I had hair, it would all be gone. But it's been a year, and we're over that point with snow days that we do need to start making up snow days. When we set our calendar for next year, the calendar said that the first makeup day would be June 5th, making that a half day and a full day then on June 2nd. We tossed around multiple items before we remembered that was what we put on that calendar, and there's no good solution. There's no this makes everybody happy with this solution. The fact that we had this on the calendar a year ago when we created this calendar, to me, just makes it the most obvious choice. It allows us to make up the full day. All of our staff makes up the day that way. The bus drivers make up the day versus trying to add minutes and all of those types of things. The reality of it is we're looking at another winter storm coming in this week. We could have more in the month of March. Sometimes it's happened in the month of April. So what we're looking for with this motion is to approve June 5th being added to the calendar, and then clearly communicating out that any snow day after today would basically be added on June 6th, 7th, 8th, and so on that week. So that's the action I'm looking for. If there's questions, let me know. Otherwise, we take action to approve that.
If there's no other questions, I'll make a motion to approve the calendar as presented.
I'll second.
Motion made by Shelley, seconded by Lisa to approve the 2022-2023 calendar change as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Teacher compensation adjustment.
Excuse me. So the teacher compensation adjustment is something that we've talked about in closed session at length here, but for our community to understand, teacher compensation, we've had multiple, I have had multiple things brought to my attention over my 2 years here, kind of learning about discrepancies that exist in our pay scale. So teachers being placed multiple levels below or being paid at multiple levels below what their actual teaching experience represents. Conversation had come up a number of times, really looked at a way to take this process on without it being centered on people and the value that people place on specific positions. So I've laid out the process here in this document where I had one-on-one conversations with all of our employees and really determined kind of where their experience is versus where they are being paid, and found the difference between those 2 points. Found then, the total difference in what that compensation could be or should be for the district, and then looked at a way to apply a piece of that change. This adjustment does not change our compensation schedule. It does not make anybody 100% whole. It does not address everybody. It addresses those that are the furthest away from where they're quote unquote supposed to be, and brings them closer to the norm. So with this adjustment, we would see 37 of our 57 current teachers that would see an adjustment in their compensation effective January 1, 2023. 25 of those people would see 2 steps on the pay scale change. 12 people would see 1 step. 20 people would see no change, and 10 people would have level changes. So they would actually go from one letter to another with a little bit larger pay increase for that amount. They would still show us that they've put in the hours and done all of the requirements to move from one level to the next. Total cost of this for an entire year would be about $58,500. Because we're going to put this into effect July 1. Thank you. January 1st, 2023. Appreciate that. We would only pay 50% of that difference for this year at approximate cost of $29,250 for the remainder of the year. We have talked with teachers about this. Obviously, the board has talked about this at length. I feel this is an important step for our district to take in a climate and in a market where we really need to value our current educators and be able to attract future, high quality future educators to the district. So I'll answer any questions. Otherwise, looking for approval to make this adjustment to the compensation scale as presented.
If there aren't any questions, I'll make a motion to approve the teacher compensation adjustment as described at an approximate cost to the district of $29,250 for the 2022-2023 school year.
I'll second.
Motion made by Lisa, seconded by Joni to approve the teacher compensation adjustment as described. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you. And our teachers, thank you.
Dr. Brockup's personnel?
Yes. So our first action item in personnel is the hire of building custodian Matt Nagy at our elementary school. He began with us on 2/28, doing an outstanding job, and I think from what I'm hearing, enjoying his new gig. So we appreciate having Matt here as part of our team. So look for a motion to approve Matt Nagy.
I'll move to approve the hire of Matt Nagy as our full-time custodian working second shift at Bangor Elementary School effective February 28th.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Shelley to approve the hire of Matt Nagy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Second item there is the hire of a school nurse. We would be looking at this contract that would go into effect on July. I get my Julys and Januaries mixed up, I guess. On July 1st, 2023. So for next calendar, next school year. So we would look for the approval of Aaron Bloomquist, an RN, that would be coming to us for next year.
What do you think the cost is of a benefit package?
What's the cost of a benefit package? About $28,000.
So you're looking at roughly a $75,000 cost of something that 3-4 years ago cost probably, I don't know because I don't have the numbers, for sure less than half of that, for sure.
I also know that we need a school nurse in our district. Finding a part-time school nurse would be incredibly difficult, and our slowly, steady growing enrollment supports the need for a full-time school nurse.
I think you'd be hard pressed to find a district with roughly 600 students that has a full-time nurse. I think you'd be very hard pressed to find that. I think this is a high cost for something that is, I would dare say, not needed.
I think we had an awfully hard time finding a part-time nurse when we wanted to, when the environment was different, when it was, I would be very shocked if we could find a part-time nurse. I mean, I don't know, because
They didn't try for that either, right? They tried for a full-time nurse. And yes, you had a few candidates, but maybe there'd be people who wanted part-time. So it's financial costs. So just pointing it out. That's a big jump in 5 years. And granted, during COVID, I could definitely justify the need for a full-time nurse, but there's never been a full-time nurse other than COVID.
You guys know the history better than I do. My administrative recommendation at this moment in time is to approve the hire of Aaron Bloomquist, full-time nurse for next school year. If you have, you can make a motion and take action.
If there's no other discussion, I'll make a motion to approve the hire of Aaron Bloomquist as a full-time nurse with her official contract start date of July 1 of 23.
I'll second.
Motion made by Shelley, seconded by Lisa to approve the hire of Aaron Bloomquist as full-time school nurse with her official contract start date of July 1st, 2023. All in favor?
I
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. All right, retirement.
4 of these tonight. Some huge congratulations and best of luck to this group here tonight. So our first retirement is motion to approve the retirement of Deb Craig as middle school, high school library paraprofessional. Deb has served the district for 34 years in our library at the middle school, high school, has coached cross country, track, 7th grade girls basketball. When not coaching, often involved at those scoring tables and those types of things, has helped with, I think, some forensics and as well. So just an outstanding asset to our school and district for many, many years. She will be missed.
I'll move to approve accept the retirement of Deb Craig as middle school, high school library paraprofessional.
Second.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Tina to approve the retirement of Deb Craig as middle high school library paraprofessional. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next one.
Second retirement there is motion to approve the retirement of middle school, high school science teacher Andy Liga, effective at the end of the 22-23 school year. Andy has over 30 years of teaching experience, with the past 21 of those years in the Bangor School District. His passion for the subject and the relationship with his students will be greatly missed. We wish Andy the best in his retirement. I will truly miss the music as I walk down the hall and he's got his guitar out from time to time. So great great stuff. It's been a pleasure getting to know and work with Andy.
I'll make a motion to approve the retirement of middle high school science teacher Andy Liga, effective at the end of the 22-23 school year.
Second.
Motion made by Shelley, seconded by Tina to approve the retirement of middle high school science teacher Andy Liga, effective at the end of the 2022-2023 school year. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion,
I'll abstain.
Jack abstained. Next, retirement.
The next retirement is kind of a package deal. Motion to approve the retirement of middle school, high school Spanish teacher Heidi Liga, effective at the end of the 22-23 school year. Heidi has taught for over 30 years and the past 21 here in Bangor. Heidi has provided years of outstanding learning environment about the language and Spanish culture. We thank her for her service to the district and wish her all the best in her retirement. She has been an incredible asset to our community, not only in her teaching, but also in a ton of interpreting and those types of things as well. I hope that at some point in time she may come back and help us with a few of those types of things as well. So, motion to approve the retirement of Heidi Liga.
I'll move to approve the retirement of middle school, high school Spanish teacher Heidi Liga, effective at the end of the 2022-2023 school year.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Lisa to approve the retirement of middle high school Spanish teacher Heidi Liga, effective at the end of the 2022-2023 school year. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
But I'll abstain again.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Final retirement for tonight, the motion to approve the retirement of .5 social studies teacher Kevin Kravick, effective at the end of the 2022-2023 school year. Like Deb's, this includes his role, his coaching role as well as head track coach. Kevin spent the first 31 years of his teaching career in Sparta School District and has spent the last 5 years as athletic director, coach, and social studies teacher here in Bangor. Thank you to Kevin for your 36 years of service to public education and for the past 5 as part of the Bangor School District. He wrote a very nice letter that's attached and just talked about the experience he's had here and the special place that the Bangor School District will be in his heart for years to come. And we thank him for his time and dedication to our district. So,
I'll make a motion to approve the retirement of a half-time social studies teacher Kevin Kravick, effective at the end of the 2022-2023 school year, and that includes his retirement from his role as head track coach.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Lisa, seconded by Shelley to approve the retirement of social studies teacher Kevin Kravick, effective at the end of the 2022-2023 school year. This includes his retirement from his role as head track coach. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank
Julie?
you.
Can I just chime in?
Yes.
I would personally like to thank these 4 individuals as well for everything. They've meant a lot. I know I've worked with Deb for 25 years, Andy and Heidi 21 years, and Kevin 16 years, either as a coach or in the school setting. And they've been extremely important people to our school, to our students, our community, and I can't thank them enough. I do wish them the best in retirement, but if any of them would like to come back, they can come see me.
Thank you, Mr. Millenberg. Okay, moving on to administrative reports.
go ahead.
Looks like it's me first. So attendance at our conferences here recently was down a little bit, 82%. But we did have good discussions, very few on the virtual side, which seems to be that's waning as we get away from COVID farther. But nonetheless, good to see everybody, talk to people as they came in and came out. Had a very successful book fair with our PTO work and all of that, as well as some clothing opportunities. We get so many donations of clothing, winter clothing, just clothing in general. So we were able to support some families with those items as well during the conferences. It was pretty great. Summer school update. Summer school again is June 19th through July 7th. Getting staffing kind of organized and getting closer every day. But we're still about half a dozen to 8 or so teachers from where we were last year. So I'm working on that, getting that schedule. Terry's working on it as well to get those pieces out. We'll be putting out information to parents about students who might need a little extra boost in reading and math coming up, and all that's getting organized right now. And then lastly, we did have a donation of $150 from the Fire Department Family Auxiliary, who is in partnership with the Knights of Columbus, and they gave that to our backpack program, so we'll use that for supporting our families in need.
Any questions for Mr. Johnson? Thank you. Mr. Mullenberg?
Thank you, Julie. First up, job fairs. We were anticipating getting these retirements, they had told us. So a couple weeks ago, Dr. Brockup and I went to Stevens Point to the teacher job fair there, and we did collect about 20 resumes and let the people know that in the fields that we were anticipating that we'll be emailing them, kind of telling them about our Bangor school and getting to know them a little bit. There were 36 schools there. That's the first one we've ever attended. You know, the climate used to be where we had a lot of applicants, but obviously things are different now. And then we have one coming up on March 17th at UW La Crosse that we'll be attending. It's a Friday from 2 to 5 p.m. Hopefully the students still show up, you know, on St. Patrick's Day at UWL, 2 to 5 on a Friday. So we're hopeful there as well. And now that we'll actually have some postings that we can hopefully steer them towards and get to know them and get them applying positions that we have here. And I saw that there's over 40 schools registered for that one as well. So they happened to stick us right next to Alaska. It was kind of interesting at Stevens Point where, you know, when we travel that distance and things. But we did get to see what a lot of other schools, we got to talk to a lot of other administrators, what they're looking for, how many applicants they've been getting. And it's still down, but it was encouraging. The director of student teaching at Stevens Point said they had 150 teachers student teaching this spring. So that's encouraging. UWL, been in contact with them. Their numbers are up as well. They didn't give me specifics, but they said they're trending in the right direction. Not enough to fill everything, but yet, you know, we're slowly climbing. We did have an administrative breakfast at Western a week ago, and that really was to go over our transcripted credit and also start college now. The president of the university spoke, and then Tyler Ludeking, who's in charge of transcripted credit. So students that take credits here or classes here that can get credit through Western. We currently have 5 classes, and we're working on building that. They have to meet the certifications of a Western instructor. One of them is welding through Adam Cradaville. It's upper level welding. They can get credit through there. So we spent a couple hours listening to how to strengthen that, what other schools are doing. It was definitely some valuable information. Also at Western was a TUMA. It was an evening thing, and that is the Upper Mississippi Manufacturing Alliance. That was awesome as well because there was a lot of manufacturers there and then school districts. We learned a lot about youth apprenticeship and actually just had a meeting on Monday with somebody from CISA on us getting information out on youth apprenticeship for our students. And interesting, manufacturing in our area is the number one percentage-wise at 14% of employers. And a lot of people think of just the hands-on, but they said they need everything from accountants to engineers to you name it. So it was great getting that information. We had some contacts that we went through there to bolster the information that we can give our students and opportunities in the manufacturing areas as well. So Ms. Schultz and I have been working on that, and it kind of leads into the bottom one on there, which is the junior parent meeting that Ms. Schultz did a great job putting together, and she and I were there. We had a good turnout of junior parents, basically going over everything from how to fill out the FAFSA form, when you have to fill it out, college applications. Same thing when we're talking about youth apprenticeship classes to take, what schools are expecting. So that was really good. It's the first time we did that. She and I had talked about trying to get something for parents. And the month previous, we did it for 8th grade parents with the transition going into high school. So I'm happy to report that we were able to get that information out. It seemed like it was very well received. I know Lisa was there as well. I mean, if she hasn't said anything otherwise, but I assume that you thought it went well as also. But I think it's important because that is a big change coming after, that senior year and kind of starting to narrow things down and the application process and all the deadlines for that. So Hannah did a great job of going over when schools start accepting applications with the rolling applications and things like that. Or career path that is not a 4-year school or a 2-year school, talking about classes to take in that area as well. Lastly, parent-teacher conferences. We did have it was just under 350 individual conferences. In the fall, we were at about 440. We typically have that drop off in the spring. I do know that was a week where it was a 2-day school week, and we had a number of families took advantage and went on vacation that week, which I don't blame them. It was good for them. But typically, I look back to last spring, and I think we were at about 357, 358. So we're right in the same ballpark with that. We don't tend to see as many senior parents in the spring conference. I think they feel like the ship has sailed, and they're not going to make a whole lot of changes from there. But it's always great to see the parents come in. And like Mike said, we did have some virtual. People did really appreciate the ones that took that virtual option. And so I think that is something that we'll definitely keep in the future. There was some that, the feedback I received was they wouldn't have been able to attend in person, or they'd have to take off of work. So it wasn't a lot, but I think it really serves a purpose there. Mm-hmm. And I thank our staff for that as well.
Any questions for Mr. Millenberry?
I don't have a question, but I'll just comment on the junior parent meeting. I highly encourage any upcoming parents. I hope you guys are going to continue doing it. I found it very beneficial. Ms. Schultz was spectacular, and Mr. Mullenberg, a ton of information that I didn't know, and just a lot of things that we can follow up on, and deadlines that we need to be paying attention to. And it was a great event all around. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Mr. Mullenberry. Dr. Brockup?
Yeah, I just got 3 quick things on here. We did make the transition to some of those in-town transportation routes on March 1st. Terry, a huge shout out to Terry at the elementary school, did a phenomenal job of following up with families and communicating, making sure that we knew where kids were going, if they're getting picked up, if they're walking, all of those types of things. I did have some conversations with 3 or 4 families that had some concerns. We kind of talked through things and made some. I think the biggest thing was that we identified that we needed to make sure we had some adult supervision over here at the 10th Avenue crossing, which we did put in place, and that has been well received and working well. We're seeing about 9 kids walk across there in the morning, and about 12 walk across there in the afternoon. A number of families worked out things with older students or older siblings in this building, but we do have an adult out there that we intend to have out there the rest of the year, kind of monitoring the driveway and 10th Avenue. Kids are doing a great job of using the crossing on 10th Avenue. There's really not that much traffic at that point in time, especially coming from the prairie or going onto the prairie. So where the crosswalk is, there's not a whole lot of traffic at that intersection. And what we're seeing is the timing wise, when the elementary kiddos are coming to the elementary in the morning, they are crossing before most of the high school, middle school students are coming in. And for the most part, if they leave the elementary school when they're released and they walk that path, they are out before our bell rings and the middle school, high school kids are leaving. So the timing is working really well, and we're seeing that work well. It's been good to have the adults there to have that bit of feedback and just kind of keep track of how things are going. We will continue to monitor that for the rest of the school year, and then make the decision of whether we need an adult there all year next year. It's still an efficient and safe way to get kids across. I did share with the board a little bit in an email that we did dispose of one of our school buses that died. We tried CPR and everything else we could do. When the scrapyard emailed me and said, don't feel bad about this one, the U-joints were out on it and I don't know how it was holding together, and that the fuel tank busted open halfway home, it made me feel a little bit better. So it was time for a 2008 bus to leave our fleet. We did not actually get rid of one last year. We've tried to get as much life out of them as we could. We knew one was slated to go here fairly soon, and that was our volunteer, and I think rightfully so. The math on it was going to be at least probably $5,000 to get it repaired, to get it back here after the tow and all of those types of things. We are saving a number of parts, including the tires, which are $900 a piece, and putting those onto one of our other buses. So it ends up being a pretty good situation with the bus. Update from last month: you approved the dishwasher purchase for the middle school, high school cafeteria, or in the kitchen. You approved a not to exceed amount. I wanted to give you the amount. The approved amount was $27,367. The actual amount, once they had come in and done that work, was $23,800. So it's about $3,500 better than anticipated. Interestingly enough, as we talk about food service, we got a letter at the end of the day today that says we have too much money in our food service account. So we will be looking to make another purchase for our food service department, and maybe actually looking at increasing, the quantities on meals and those types of things too. So there'll be a couple phases to that, but it's nice when you get an email that says there's too much money in your account and you need to spend some. So that was a good email. So this helps, but then we'll continue to work on that as well.
Any questions? Thank you. So removal of items from the consent agenda. Consent agenda tonight includes our current openings, which are listed there. The FFA recurring overnight field trip to Stevens Point. Our CISA 4 contract for 23-24. Our gym entry rugs, which David has a picture of in our packets. And then the ECCP SCN 23-24 class requests for UWL and Western Technical College list. And then also some others, West Salem, Lacrosse, West Salem. You'll see that all on the list.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Shelley, seconded by Lisa to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
I abstain.
Thank you. I ask for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion made by Tina, seconded by Shelley to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.